Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Julie's World Crochet. I'm Julie. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you're joining us. This is part two, I'm pretty sure part two, of our ice yarns cakes, or ice yarns haul, but this is the cakes subgroup basically. And what it is I've decided, like I said, that I have 4 nephews and a niece who also has 2 daughters, but they'll get their own deal because I need to get yarn for that one. But I have part of their Christmas, or their Christmas this year, they're all getting a throw. One nice piece that they can have and use for a while. The nephews are kind of at that age that they'll appreciate them. They're doing a bunch of things where you might need a stadium blanket, a campfire blanket, camping blanket, sitting around by the fire on a winter's eve blanket with your new girlfriend or boyfriend, whichever way you want to go, that kind of blanket, all of that. So, and they're getting to the age where they'll start moving out to college or their first apartments, and this is a piece of decor for them. So I'm here because I had planned for this coming up at Christmas. I bought a whole bunch of yarn, and I bought from Ice Yarns because I can get more for less money. So I can be getting kind of the quality that I'm looking for, but enough of it to do a blanket, like a large blanket. Pardon me on the face. I'm still dealing with the Bell's palsy, but it is a little bit better. But I'm sure it still looks wonky, but I don't even think about it. I don't look in the mirror very often. I actually kind of forget that this is going on until people look at me weird, you know. So I'm in Canada. We tend to be a little bit chattier, and even in the region that I'm in, you know, if there's 2 people at a gas station and go up to the counter at the same time, generally there'll be some kind of conversation, one little comment, whatever. It's just a thing. It's a small town thing. And I'll tell you, I get that now, and I'm used to, like, I'm smiling as much as I can smile, or with my normal responses. But because my face doesn't work, I am not giving those social cues that we're used to. Those signals that are, oh, a smile means this, like those interactions that go with, well, social interactions. And I'm not able to do them the same way, and it's really noticeable because people just don't know what to do. They don't really know what I'm signaling and whether I'm being friendly or if I'm just weird or whatever's going on. So that's been a lesson learned, like learning lesson. But I am getting kind of better, and I hope it doesn't throw anyone off too much because I really want to share these yarns with you. And again, if you've been watching as I've come back on with my content, you'll know that when I got all these yarns, I did a big, like, opening video and everything else, and then my computer blew up, and I've lost all that content that I had been preparing. So I've already had these yarns. I've started working because I can't help myself. Pretty much all of them I've gotten my hands onto. But I'm going to share them anyway. In a way, it's kind of good because I'm going to show you the yarns I bought, because these are self-striping and variegated yarns, which I don't usually use. This is my exploration into that, 1. And 2, I had to figure out when I got them, like, what am I going to make with it? How am I going to use it? And I've started on those so you can see how they work up, and they can see how we made some of the choices. You'll see what I mean as we go through it. So these are for the blankets upcoming. I already told you the other one, this is fleece. So what I did is, for one thing, I'm going to do, these are 4 blankets, actually 5 blankets, that are all due this fall, right? 4 of them for Christmas, 1 of them slightly earlier as a graduation gift for someone else. And I mean, I didn't know that at the time that I was going to use the yarn because I have never bought these yarns yet. I don't usually buy cakes. I don't usually buy variegated, self-striping, any of those kinds of yarns. I didn't just dip my toe in. I really dove head first into that. And that's good. I was totally fine. I was really happy with that. But because on Ice Yarns, I found that it's really kind of affordable. And I have enough projects kind of in my head of, oh, I'd like to do this someday, that really if I'd screwed it up and got something that was completely not okay, I still would have found a use for it. Even I showed you, I bought the Cakes Air, which is on this like ridiculously cheap sale. I spent like $4. Might as well. I thought it would be something I might use for one of the little nieces I told you about. And that yarn, Cakes Air, it is not soft. It is not, even for a blanket, it is not what you want to use. This is like a crafty, it's a bulky weight. It's a shame because all the colors for it are very child, like for child colors, right? Like the blues and the pinks and the stuff. But I would never use it for anything like that. I would make baskets out of it. I told you I'm going to use what I bought now. It's now going to be pet blankets that I'm going to donate to our animal rescue. That's a good use for that yarn, but otherwise, that's even $4 is money wasted on that. Not worth it. So I did go through really carefully to look at all the different yarns to find something that I might want and a colorway that I might want. And one of the ones that I chose, there's all different cakes. If you just go on and you look under, like categories, one of those categories is going to be cakes, and it'll show you all the different kinds of cakes yarns they have. So Cakes Cotton, Cakes Jazz, Cakes Galaxy, Glitz with glitter, with, all of the different kinds of baby yarn, and I think there's a chunky in there. There's all different kinds that they have. Some of them are, there's one kind I really, really want, but it's sold out. And I think it just hasn't been officially discontinued. It is the equivalent of a Lion brand yarn that is out there and really, really popular. Or not really, really, but you know what I mean. I don't think they've discontinued it yet. So if they do another run, it'll come back. But until that company does another run of it or decides to discontinue it, it's still kind of listed there. So pick through really carefully. Take a look and see what's there. Most of it's really, really awesome. This is the first one that I'm going to show you that I ordered right here. This is Cakes Melange. And this is gray, navy, copper, and maroon, I think it is. I don't even think there's a gray on this. There's a navy, maroon, copper, orange. Really lovely. Here, let's take a look here. Look at that. Right? This is all navy. There's no actual black. I don't think it says black anyway. You can see the browns, this beautiful orangey yellow copper. Let me open it up there. It's really, really lovely. Anyway, so I looked these up to see what people were making with them and stuff. And let me tell you, you saw the number. I'll get my glasses out here. I'll tell you what it is. It's a 3-weight. I knew it was a 3-weight when I bought it. And that was going to be okay. I figured my thinking on the 3-weight stuff is if it was really a problem, I could double it up and I could always order more if I needed to. That's kind of one of the good things about ice yarns is that if you order more, it tends to be from the same lot, quite a lot. Like it depends on what it is, but if you have something that, if it's not one of their standard, like their favorite line or their Gonka line that has just lots of different colors of the same, they do keep restocking them. That is one of their main lines that they keep going. But if it's one of these kinds of yarns, it tends to all be from the same lot because they do that one big massive run and they sell it till it's gone. And then, there'll be more. The original company that was making them, Lion Brand or Bernat or Karen or whoever it happens to be, they discontinue their line and they're going to make something else. And same with ice yarns. Once it's sold out, there's no more to make. So I figured I could buy some more if I really needed to. I didn't want to, though, because I kind of went in with a budget. I wanted to spend no more than $30 per person on the yarn itself. Now, keep in mind, because of shipping and stuff, that means that I really wanted to max out at about $15 online for what the cost of the yarn is, because I'm expecting my shipping to be about the same amount, which is still really, really doable. So this one here is the Cakes Melange. And I really liked it, or I thought I was really going to like it. It was worth trying. I liked the colorways that they had. And when I saw what other people worked it up, I thought that it wasn't too terribly stripy, right? So, and by that I mean, I just have this thing against these day glow colors that stop precisely and a new stripe starts along. I feel like it's just such a waste. I might as well just use my regular solid colors, and I'll change the colors when I want to see them change. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So this is the yarn. I really like it. It's got, again, it's got that marled kind of look. You can see there's two colors in there. If I pull up this one here, the dark end, you can see that there's two threads, two colors woven like through that. So I really like that better than having these big stripes of solid color. But this is really, really soft. Really, really nice. Let me get back to content. It has 15% wool and 85% acrylic. These are 100-gram cakes, 260 meters. So just go with 275 yards as a way to ballpark it. It lets me math it better. 275 yards. These are 100-gram cakes, and you get 3 cakes in a pack. If I remember correctly, this was $1.99 a cake, I believe. So it was like $6 for these 3. Yeah, it was. It's something like that. I can double check, but it's going to be right in there because I bought 3 packs. So 275 yards, $5.50 for 2, $7.50, 800, $8.25 for 3. So in a bag, I was going to have, 800 yards of my yarn. So I bought 3 packs. That brought me to spending like $18 on yarn for him. I was going to have 2,400 yards of thread, of yarn. That was right exactly where I wanted to be. This is really nice and soft, and I really love this colorway. So this is, they're not going to watch my channel, so I'll tell you right now, this is for Corbin. I think, I don't know. I actually don't know. But here's where I started. This is what I was working on. Now, one of the things I want to mention, as you remember, you probably know, I rarely use a pattern. I rarely follow a pattern, especially for something like blankets. I get the yarn I'm getting, I get the stitch I'm going to use, and it doesn't make a whole bunch of difference. I'm almost never using the yarn that's being recommended because I'm not going out and paying that money. I'm getting a different kind of yarn. Maybe I'll get the same weight. Maybe I have a different one that's a colorway I just love, but it's a DK weight versus their worsted weight. There's always something different, and you should be making to make the project that you want to make, But it does mean I have to adjust stuff. So I can't always predict everything. I just make the best choices I can make. And that's what I did here. So I'm just going to show you how I think through it. This is what I wanted to do. This was an instance where I wanted to take a chance to use the Alpine stitch, which I haven't yet done. So if you're not familiar, this is the Alpine stitch. I actually really like it when you have very bulky yarn. It's one of the stitches I like when the yarn is bulky. But I thought it would work really well. I like it with the variegated, and I never really used variegated yarn before. So, or striping yarn. So this is what it looks like. It's a really nice, I really like the stitch. It gives it extra weight. I think it's probably a bit of a yarn suck, but I don't complain too much about that. That's not really my thing. Isn't this lovely? Actually, I'll show you. This is what it looks like when it's worked up. Now, I will say, I find with a lot of these striping yarns, this is not particularly wide, but I'm going to be doing a very good border, like a couple-inch border around, is the plan. So it's not particularly wide. I think this is only like 43 inches, something like that, which is, I have a tendency to make bigger throws, but I'm trying not to make them too big. I'm trying to stay within budget for what they want. If they really, really love it and it means a lot to them and any of them really want it, they can say the word and I will make them a much bigger throw with something else. But as it is right now, I'm trying to make like a lapgan kind of size. I'm trying in the sense that I have another one that I'm working on and it's already way too big and she's just going to have to suck it up. That's what she's getting. Okay, so I try to work with so that I have enough yarn for what it is. I bought 3 of these packs, which means, so it was under $20 total for my yarn, plus shipping. And so I have over 2,000 yards to work with. I have more than enough. I did the what I liked about this, and what I still like about this, if I can show you, I liked it with the variegated because I thought, you know, like you're reaching down to do these loops. And what I like about it is when you have the self-striping yarn, you can see like it seems to mix in a little better. Does that make sense? Like it comes in, instead of having like really sharp lines, I just think it looks like it blends a little nicer. So I thought it was going to go really well with this kind of colorway, especially because there is striping through it, right? But I think it's nice. This is for a man. So, you know, it's got that nicely manly colors. I thought it looks really, really good. I did a bunch of it, and then I got kind of bored, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to have, because the colors are so dark, and it looks kind of fine in the light, but because they're so dark, you actually don't see the stitches kind of as distinctly as you do when it is a larger yarn, like a bulkier weight yarn, and more colorful colorway going on. Which is fine. I think it looks lovely. I really, really like it. I think it looks really nice. But I kind of wanted a little more visual interest. So what I did is I added in, can you see that basket weave stitch there? There's our basket weave stitch, right? With the, I think it's pretty like self-evident. So I brought that in, just 5 rows. There's 5 rows of the basket weave stitch, and then we are back working the Alpine stitch. So my intention now is I will have the Alpine stitch, my 5 rows of the basket weave, Alpine stitch, basket weave, Alpine stitch. So 2 bands of this basket weave stitch just for visual interest, because I'm not using any other complementary color or anything else. When I get to the edge, I'm going to use the same yarn to do border around the edge. So the last thing I'm planning for this, and this is what I was trying to get at when I was talking about the fact that I don't use a pattern, and I don't here. So I have now used, that's why it's not attached to anything right now. Oh, here's the top. Here's where I left off. Hello. Somewhere up here. No. This is where I started. Oh, here it is. It's right in the middle. Sorry. I was a little off there for a moment. This is where I finished so far, how far I've gone along. I have my last little bit that I have to tie into my next cake. And I like also that these cakes are all the same. They're all the colorways when they start. So when you finish here, like I always start in the same spot. And it seems to be pretty seamless transition, right? So in this section here, there are 2, actually a total of, so far, I have used 3 skeins to get this much going. This is 24 inches down. And that's kind of how I look at it. I have 9 skeins. I got 3 skeins, got me these 24 inches through this here. So I am going to, I expect that like the top half is just, it's a mirror image. One half to the other is going to be a mirror image. So I will need 3 more skeins to do the top half. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 skein in the middle. This is still my Alpine stitch. And then I have 3 more skeins that should get me exactly this, but up top. This is 24 inches. Another 24 inches from my 3 skeins for the top half, identical to this mirror image. And this got me one skein when I was doing it at the bottom, got me about 8 inches. So of my blanket. So 24 and 24 plus the 8 gets me in the 56 range for inch-wise for length. And that will leave me 2 skeins left over, and that's what I'm going to use for my border. As much border as I can make out of the 2 full skeins to go around. So that way I think I will end up with a good size throw, right? It's going to be however wide this is. I think this was 44 when I measured it, 43. Not quite as wide as I would like, especially for a young man because they're longer and taller and stuff, but I only have so much yarn. And this is a DK weight, so I'm using kind of a thicker knit in order to make it, or a thicker stitch, slightly, not hugely, but slightly, just to make it a little more plush. And I'll put on an inch or two, a good 2 inches, I'm hoping for the border around. Probably something straightforward though, something like a half double crochet or something. But anyway, that's where we're at with this particular yarn. This is, remember, the Cakes Melange. The navy copper red, I think, was the combination that went with it. But I really like it, and this yarn is really soft. You can even see when you work it up, it's really nicely drapey, and it works up really, really well. Like, I haven't had any problems with splitting, not once, not everything. And I don't think I've had any knots. Maybe one of the cakes had a knot, but I have not had any problems or issues with this at all. It's really nice. Along those lines, I also, here we go, I got another one from the Cakes Melange set. Here's the number. This is the turquoise and gray. You can't see it here, but I'm going to show you right now. Let's grab this. But, hey. I've also been working on this. You know what? I better open this up because this cake has already been used quite a bit. Let me open this up. There we go. So this is them. Look at this. Isn't this lovely? Okay, so again, this is showing as more blue, in my opinion, than it really is. This is quite green. This center part is quite green. I definitely have to fix this somehow. I don't know why my camera is doing this. This is a lot more turquoisey green. So when you look it up online, you know, I will try and put a picture up here from the website so you can see what the actual color is. What you see on the website is exactly what it's going to look like in your hands. I've never had it be different in any way. It's exactly what it looks like color-wise. So they do a really good job with that. This is the turquoise and gray. It's also the Cakes Melange, right? You saw the number a moment ago. So it is really, really soft. It's got that 15% wool. So it's really, really nice. I actually like it a lot. But again, also a DK weight. So this is one that I've also been working on. And for this one, let me take this out. I decided to do a corner to corner. This is for the youngest of the nephews. He's only 14. And they do a lot of hockey and a lot of outdoor activities, and even like ice fishing and stuff. You know, you need a blanket. So here is, let me get it right because it's a corner to corner, and I've made like lots of progress, but this is what it looks like. Can you see? There we go. So you can see all the grays. Let me get this. Here's the straight. Here's what it would look like, the straight edge, right? From the corner to corner. I'm going to fold it up so we don't get so much light coming through. You can see it a little bit better. Isn't that really nice? I really like it. Now, I'm impressed with how impressed I am with this. It's really soft. It's really easy to work. It drapes really nicely. I'm going to say I still really recommend this Cakes Melange if you want to work with the DK weight for anything that you're making. Keep in mind, though, this is, you know, a self-striping yarn. And I think one of the things I like, they can end their stripes, like when they design different cakes, you know, you get, some of them switch over really quickly. Some of them you can go quite a long time before you get the switch over. I find with the Cakes Melange, you know, there's like, when you're making a throw, there's like an average length for how long we're making. You know, like an average throw is 45 by 60, for instance. And I find that with these, the change is kind of around there. So if you can see here, when I get to the main, the longest area of the blanket, let me see if I can make it so that it's kind of square. The longest area of the blanket, this is the distance between the stripes, right? So it seems to be almost pretty perfect. And if there's a transition, it transitions really, really well, so that you don't get that really distinctive, you know, hey, yeah, there, you know what I mean? It's just started. It doesn't leap out at all. It transitions really nice between the stripes. But keep in mind, if you're going to do something like a corner to corner, like I've done, so here's the start. Excuse me while I pour it over my shoulder. And here's the start. And of course, this is a much shorter distance. So if you're doing a corner to corner with self-striping, your first stripes are going to be quite a bit wider, right? Keep that in mind. It doesn't mean if that matters to you and you want them to be all the same, you'll have to do some color correction in your edges like this, so that at least in two of the corners, so that they are not distinctly different widths. If you're using a self-striping yarn. And color correction just means you know, if you want it to be, you cut it and then go to the next part of the yarn that you want to use. Remove sections of yarn so that it is not so much wider. But I think it looks fine with this. I'm totally happy. I'm thrilled that, like I said, I actually really like that there's no really distinctive changeover. Here we are in our next color. The yarn itself has a nice transition from one to the other, so that when you work it up, it comes up really, really nice. It's, I think, well worth it. I'm really happy with this too. I think anyone would be happy, and the color is really, really great. It's this great turquoisey green, and I feel okay giving it to a guy, because this gray that's with it, really, it kind of has that right, nice kind of vibe to it. So I love that. So next, you know, okay, well, next one we have is also cakes again. This is called, it's not Cakes Melange. What is it? Does it say on here? Camaro, that's it. Cakes Camaro. And the one I have is Blue Shades. Okay, so here it is. Cakes Camaro, Blue Shades. There it is. I'm going to show you a thing right away. This one only comes to a bag, a set. Here it is here right now. I'll pull the thing. This one also has wool. This one is even softer than the Melange. I will say, it's so nice. It feels so good on your skin. It feels so nice. I really, really like this Cakes Camaro a lot. However, there's some things that this is also a DK weight. It says we're going to talk about that in a second. But this one is 50% wool and 50% acrylic. Remember, the other one was only 15. This is 50% wool. So for sure, you have to have more careful handling. Never put this in a dryer. Never get it hot. You're only going to damage the fibers, etc., etc. So it's a 3-weight, light, 4 to 6 millimeter recommended. This is, they only come 2 in a pack, but these are 150 grams per cake. So it's the same as the 3 packs for the other ones, right? And there's 420 meters, so 450 yards per cake. So in my pack of 2, I get 900 yards of yarn in a pack of 2, light 3-weight. However, this yarn is not spun like the other ones. This is a roving style yarn. And actually, before we start, look at that color. This Blue Shades, I think, is just, whoops, let me move this. This Blue Shades, I think, is just beautiful. This is navy, like this dark navy blue. And then this here, it's got this like light blue, but because of the way they sit together, that little bit of shine, it just looks radiant. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It looks radiant. And it is so, so soft. I really like this yarn. However, like I said, the downfall, and it's not really downfall, but be aware, this is a roving style yarn. And look, this section is not bad. So here we have, it says it's a 3-weight yarn, right? Which that kind of looks like a 3-weight yarn. But roving style means that when it's spun, it's kind of, when it's pulled, sometimes it's thicker, and then sometimes it's going to come really thin. And this is a twisted yarn. So you can see here, you have two different yarns that are spun together. When you get, if it happens to be the really thin part of each yarn that is meeting there, you get really thin, let's see if I can, you get really thin yarn. To the point where there are some points in this that it's like thread. It's thread thick. That number 3 weight, you're talking super fine lace making tatting thread. It's super thin. And that'll thicken up right away. But you do have to deal with these sections of, and that's just the nature of a roving yarn. Some roving yarns, it doesn't go very much. I'm going to say that this goes comfortably to a worsted in some spots. Mostly it's around a DK-ish, a light DK, but there are bits and sections where it goes as light as a super fine thread. And that you have to plan for. And that made a difference when I was doing these blankets. I'm going to show you why. I do really like this yarn, but plan accordingly, right? So once I found out that, first, on the one hand, I really loved how the yarn felt. I loved how the yarn looked. I really wanted to make this work. And I have another graduating gift to make. And this worked out to be really perfect as far as the colorway for the person, what would suit them, etc., etc. You can see why. So I bought more yarn so that I could do it the way I wanted to do it. Remember, for the nephews, I wanted to stay within a budget. So what I did is I had 6 of these, which is the same as 9, right? Like 6 of these is 900 grams of yarn. That's what the 3 packs of the Melange is, right? There's 300 grams of yarn per 3 packs. And there's 300 grams of yarn per 2 pack with these guys. So I was still in the same budget. I think it's $2.99 pack with this, something like that. I have my 3 packs. I'm going to go do my thing. And I ended up buying a little bit more, but I used it. I used 3 packs to make my nephews. Now I've done this one, although I'm considering adding a little decor onto it. What I ended up doing is I ran them together. So I doubled up my yarn. Instead of working just one skein, like one, well, I worked 2 simultaneously. I put 2 threads together and I worked them like that. And that worked out so well. I really love it. It feels, all the softness is there. The drape is really good. But when I was working it, it's a little bit thicker, a little bit plusher. And it just didn't have that real thinness, like it really absorbed and accounted for when the yarn got really, really thin. So the only negative is it is a smaller blanket than I originally intended to do. So I was working it across like this, and this was the width I had, which was actually quite wide. Not necessarily, I told you I always make it too wide. But it was going to be okay, except I had to double it up. So this is my height, and it's not quite, it's not taller this way from doubling it up. I used 6 skeins, but they were doubled, so like 3 doubled bulky weight of this. So I just turn this sideways and have this really gorgeous, I used this pattern that I used, which I really like. Now, I love this pattern. It's very easy to do. It's really lovely. However, you can't really see it until I lay this down. And I'll try and take a picture outside. Maybe you can get the idea. It's a little bit less distinct because, of course, this is a variegated yarn. It works nicer with a solid yarn. But this is the Solid Wave Stitch, and I got it from Bag a Day Crochet. She's got a tutorial right online for it. It's very, very easy. It's kind of fun to kind of whip off and do, and it looks really great. And I think it did add a nice sense of texture to it. Like you can see the movement of the stitch in the fabric, but I can appreciate that it's kind of harder to see right now. But I really love this yarn, how this yarn turned out. But like I said, though, because of it, generally when we do a throw, we do it long to short. So it is, let's see if we can get a, so it is, this is it from long to short. It's striped up and down, but look how great these colors came out. Even though it was doubled up, I still, like, I thought there's something about it that looks so cozy and so lovely, and it feels so good that I'm really happy with it. Oh, and I'll show you, I just did a simple crab stitch around the edge for the border, which I also really liked. It was very easy to do. I like the look of it. I just wish it was a little bit larger, and I'm a little bit afraid that it might be a little too plain looking compared to some of the others. Like, I considered, should I put a fringe on it? Shouldn't I? I don't know. I'm going to try and put up a picture. See, look there. That's what it kind of looks like. I think it's really good. I think I'm just a little concerned that it's a little bit smaller than the others are going to be, and it doesn't have any extras like a fancier border or anything else because I was out of my yarn. So I don't know whether to put like tassels on one. I don't know. If you have any thoughts, or if it's okay the way it is, you know, I liked it with just a simple border. That was the initial plan, just because to have that big fuzzy, like cozy feel, you know. But maybe I should do something else. If you guys have any thoughts, I welcome your ideas. Again, I have many weeks before I have to mail these off. I can fix anything. I can even buy more yarn if I have to. Okay, so this is the first one that I made with this yarn. But like I told you, one, I was afraid I wouldn't have enough yarn to even finish a blanket. And two, I liked it so much, I decided that I was going to use it for another gift that I need to do, because I thought the yarn color and everything was going to be perfect for this other person. Now, it's a graduation gift, but this person, I have hardly ever made anything crochet because they're in South Texas. I lived in South Texas for a while. It is so hot. You're not wearing crochet nothing. I mean, maybe a little halter top, you know, maybe make some bags and stuff, but big blankets and sweaters and beanie hats and scarves and mittens, that stuff's not happening, right? Excuse me. And that stuff's not happening. But this was my solution. So for one thing, you know, it is really, really hot, but everyone has air conditioning because it's so hot. So there's times, like there's like 1 week of the year in February where it might get a little bit cool. Not that you're ever really wearing anything more than a light jacket, usually, but then again, we just saw a couple of years ago, it had, like, they had full-on snow in winter. And the person I'm mailing this to lived up here in Canada. They know how to winter. So I thought I'm still going to make them a blanket, but I'm using this Camaro yarn because it's so thin. In this instance, I am not doubling it up. I'm using it straight, just the way it is. Anywhere from it kind of varies between a 2 and a 3. It's not even regularly a 3. It's very, very light and thin yarn. Actually, I think it would probably make like a really nice vest. If you're looking for something like a really lightweight, thin yarn, if I have anything extra, I'm going to make some sort of like halter top for a friend or whatever else, because it is so thin and nice. I think it would breathe really well. It'd just be really nice. Anyway, so what I am doing here is I'm just doing a waffle stitch, which you can see here. But because this yarn is so light and so thin, this whole thing is so light and thin. And that's really what I want. I'm not looking for something that is thick and warm. I want, you know, a blanket that drapes really nice. It feels like a hug. When you put it on you and it just kind of falls in and drapes, it feels so comforting. I think it would be, whoops, really great. Look, I'm losing my stitch here. Like, if this gives you an idea, look how thin this is. This is really, really a thin strand, right? This is very, very thin, but it makes a really thin fabric. That's why I've used a waffle stitch. I mean, my goodness, I've had to, here we go. I had to use a waffle stitch just to make it a little bit thick or spongy feeling, right? If I had tried to do something as simple as, you know, a single crochet or a double crochet, it would have been such thin fabric. So the Yarn Eater waffle stitch is what's making it really seem like a thick kind of spongy blanket, but it is, you can see the holes in this, and that's just because I'm using, actually I'll tell you what I'm using. I'm using a 5mm hook and this yarn that gets really thin so that it has this open kind of space look. Feels spongy, but it's very light and not going to be too hot. The most I have to do is like turn the AC on, like drop it 1 degree, and this will account for it. It won't overheat them because I want something that people will use and not necessarily just be for decor. So that's the plan on that. But you can see the difference, right? This is my waffle stitch. Look at that. The colors are so great, right? Although this one is going to face this way. That light blue color with this dark, the way they've got it done, it's so great. And it transitions really well also. So this is how thin it is with just the waffle stitch. It's a fairly large hook for it with this thin yarn. And when I've doubled it up onto this, it's just thick and squishy, a really nice kind of bulky weight yarn together. So I'm thrilled with that. I highly recommend both of those, but know what you're getting into with the Camaro, right? Like the Cakes Camaro is probably the one that feels the nicest. I really love it, and I loved the colorways, but know what you're getting into because it gets really, really thin on the roving style. The Melange is not like that. It's nice and consistent. So the very last blanket, I'm just going to show you because this is where I went for it a little bit more. I was looking at the puzzle yarns. Really love the puzzle yarns, but I couldn't decide on the colorway. And one of the things that I was doing is I want to get, each of the nephews gets their own distinctive blanket. I wanted to be unique for them. I knew I was going to do one kind corner to corner. I knew I was going to do Alpine stitch if I could, you know, like find a thing that'll work with that. And one of the ones I want to do is a ripple stitch, right? And I don't want it to be all the same one, just just with a self-striping so that it stripes when I do it. I didn't like that look. I've seen it too many times where the stripe transitioned. It just threw off the look that I wanted to get. I kind of wanted to do a ripple, but I'm a little picky about the chevrons, I think. I'm not really excited about chevrons. Lots of people love them. I think this is a me thing. I understand that. And that's why I wanted to do one, because I think one of the guys will like them, but because it's not a me thing, I don't really trust my judgment to do anything that's iffy, right? So I was looking at kind of puzzle yarns, which are more expensive. And remember, I'm working on a budget here. And then I couldn't decide between some of the colors that were going on because they were just lovely. And I'm going to show you which ones they are. These are both from the same. This is the Puzzle Wool Worsted. And I already showed you, I bought an orange one for myself because when I was looking, I fell in love with this color. And I found that color because I was looking up these ones to see what they look like when they were worked up, to see how the actual color worked. I'll show them to you in a minute. So this is one of the ones I bought. And this first one here is, can you see it? It's dark with this really, it's got like a really dark blue, and it's got this, these are turquoise. This is that greeny turquoise color. A lot of it, but it's very, very dark to begin with. So it's really dark with kind of a bright, vibrant turquoise color in it. That's what this one is. And then this one here, I don't know why I did it this way when I did it, but I'm working with what I've done with myself. This is the other color, and you can see how blue it is. Let me put these aside. These come, oh no, I won't. I can't do that. I have to do the thing. These, here it is. This is the blue. So it has a little bit of green in it, not quite turquoise. There's a little bit of turquoise, but there's also some actual green. And then the blue is a lot brighter, like it's more distinctly blue. Now, so keep in mind, oh, here's my thing. I got my glasses for it. And this is 35% wool. But remember, each ball in this one is 200 grams, 350 yards, right? So 700 yards per package, because you only get 2 balls in a package. But these are a little pricier. I'm trying to remember how much these were. These were like $6 or $7. I mean, it worked out to be a little bit pricier, but I still wanted to get them anyway. They feel fantastic. It's that wool content. I'm telling you, they feel so soft and lovely. I really like them. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I'm not sure which color to get. Which color? I should have just picked one, and I would have had lots of a particular color, and I could have worked from there. Instead, I bought some of this color and some of the other color, with the idea that I will kind of stripe them, I guess. And I still will. That's still what I'm going to do. But I had to figure it out, because even the 2 packages were not going to be enough to make the size that I wanted to make. I only have 1,400 yards, and I needed some more yardage in that to make that work. So, I had to make mistakes on this. I ordered, because I was still ordering, I had ordered at the time, based on what I saw online, I had ordered from their Gonka line. I did order Gonka, right? No, this is the favorite. I'm sorry. This is the favorite yarn line, because I ordered it at the same time. So this is favorite. This is the colorway. It's just a really nice blue. And favorite's a really nice yarn. Kind of feels like a premium acrylic. Is there's wool in it or not? I can't remember. 100% acrylic. Okay, so 100% acrylic, 100 grams a ball, 210 meters. You get 4 in a pack. These are $1.25 a piece, so $5 for 4 skeins. And I'm doing another Afghan out of this. It's a nice yarn. It's really nice. It's fine. Not extra special, but it's still pretty good. For an acrylic yarn, it feels like a really soft, nice acrylic. You know, it feels like I like it better than I like it better than Premier Basics. I like it better than, a few of the others. It feels good. It feels a bit like almost like a premium acrylic. So it's pretty good. Anyway, the problem is I didn't like this. I needed an accent color, and I didn't like this. This would have been fine with just this if I needed to, but with this, it's just too washed out that I wasn't happy with it. I ordered it all at the same time. So I was going based on what I saw online. I kind of put the colors together, but you don't always get it right. Again, I'll say, Ice Yarns the picture is exactly what you're going to get. It does look exactly the same. Mostly that I couldn't work it up together to see what it would look like. And as soon as I got it, I did exactly that. As soon as I had the yarns. See, look, I had made it. They've actually been sewn together. I did a little swatch of each. And then I used that blue yarn to sew it together so I could see what it would look like if it would. And that's when it was like, yeah, this is too bright. I can't be doing that. I can't keep my hands off my yarn. Like as soon as I've got new yarn, I have to try it out. This is just some double crochets just to see how it looks like when it all is kind of put together. This yarn is lovely. I really like this. And if I had enough, this is the sort of thing I'd make a sweater from as well. This, I think, would be a really gorgeous, like dark colored, but a really gorgeous sweater. And it's super soft, really, really nice. Love it a lot. I really love this puzzle yarn. It might be my favorite puzzle yarn I've come across yet. Anyway, back to the same thing. I want to do the ripple, the chevrons. I still have to use 2 sets of yarn. I really don't want to have to buy more yarn. I'm going to make this work. I think it'll be just fine. It just needs the right color in between it. So when I put in my next order, because I just was on such a roll, I bought this one. And this one, remember this first order, I'd gotten the Gonka yarn, and I liked the Gonka yarn enough that I bought it again. So this is Gonka Teal. And that's going to be fine. But I am going to have to double it up. Okay, so the favorites yarn is worsted. That would have been a 4. But this puzzle yarn, did I put this back? I did. Okay. The puzzle wool acrylic is considered a 4-weight yarn, and I had gotten the favorite because it was a 4-weight yarn, but it kind of feels like a bulky to me, like a light bulky, but I don't think it matched the favorite as well as I would have thought. And the favorite didn't have the color that I really needed. So I went over to the Gonka because it's got that same wool feeling. It's really like the same. And I think it matches. Let's see if I can put this up here. These two guys. What's the best way to do this? I think it matches. Here's the two colorways, right? I think it goes in here pretty well. It'll work with both of them pretty well, I think. And still, so it's just really going to be like a hodgepodge of different blues, but I think it'll be okay because I'll be like making them in different chevrons, and then this will be the trim that kind of joins them together. Plus, I will do the border in this. But I don't need to do many. The bulk of them will be made with this stuff, and this is kind of just the trim and the accent. But I will have to double this up so that it is about the same thickness here. But again, because I'm not going to be doing huge sections with this, it shouldn't impact my overall fabric, right? So if this is a lot thinner, I mean, the reason you need gauge to match, let's say I did a wall of this, and then I did a big stripe of this, and then if I came in to do this and just used it straight, if it's a lot thinner, the same number of stitches will make a much smaller fabric. It's going to pull and distort that. And that happens with any number of situations. So let me just show you. Like for this, I'm putting a border on it, and I have to put a border on it because I have added this blanket stitch through this. Now, I don't know how well you can see this yet, but this blanket stitch pulls in as far as the width goes because it is more tightly. It's got the same number of stitches. Like you work every stitch. It's not like you miss anything here. You work every stitch, both the Alpine and the basket weave stitch. So it doesn't matter. But the difference is with the basket weave, because it's going around posts, it's ever so slightly more narrow, and you can tell that when you look at the edge of the fabric. Where the basket weave part is, it kind of curves in. Now, that's going to be accounted for when it kind of gets blocked when I'm done, and it'll be absorbed and corrected when I put on the border. The border is going to make that just fine. So that's not a big deal, but one of the solutions, by the way, if you are going to do that and you don't really want much of a border, like just a fine end, the solution here is to change your hook size for this. So this is a tighter stitch when it's the basket weave is tighter stitch than the rest. I would have gone up about a half a size, or like one size. If I'm using a 6 on this, then I would have gone to 6.5 for this size, just to make it a little bit bigger, and then gone back to a 6, for instance, when I went back to the Alpine stitch, to do some of the correction that way. So there's a bunch of ways to correct for it, but be aware that those things happen. And the main way that it happens, of course, is when we have different size yarn. From one size yarn, and this is a different size yarn. But I'm going to be aware of it. I'm being careful choosing the style of I'm doing, the hook sizes I'm using, and the stitches I'm choosing, and that's going to make that irrelevant. Let me absorb it, let it look really nice and normal when it runs. So that's the plan on those. That's it. Those are the 4 blankets. I know that was, again, lots of talking because I love to talk. Thanks for being with me on that. That is the 4 blankets I'm planning on doing. The yarn I bought to do it. I love all of these yarns. I love the Cakes Melange. The colors are great. It works really nice. It's a great DK weight. Love the wool content. Nice and soft, well priced. Definitely like 9 out of 10. And then the Cakes Camaro. Also love the colors. Love how soft it is. It's fantastic as far as the yarn. The only downfall to it is that it is a roving style that roves a lot. Not just a little bit. We're going all the way from thread up to sometimes a worsted weight. It does kind of ballpark around a light 3. But that's the only downfall. I'll call that an 8 out of 10. You have to know what you want to make with it so that it works for you. But if you've got something that works for you, it's gorgeous. And I highly recommend doubling it up. It's a beautiful yarn in that circumstance. And then last but not least is this puzzle worsted wool. And this is one of my favorites. I love myself some puzzle yarn. I definitely love the puzzle. This is so soft. It's the wool worsted. Again, it has a wool content, but I'm good with that. That's what I think makes it feel so, so lovely. 30% wool. 200 gram skeins. It's a little bit pricier, but probably one of my favorites. I'm going to give that one a 9 out of 10 too. I've got 3 different colorways with that that I've shown you now, and I'm happy with every single one of them. So those are my recommendations. I'm so glad you joined me. Hit the like, hit the subscribe if you want to see more. If you're new, that way you can join along. Most of you are new. For everyone coming back, thank you for coming back. Having some faith. I am getting myself together. I am recovering my faith, and I'm going to be able to put out a lot more content as I make all of these great projects. So the weather's beautiful. I'm going to go outside and do some crocheting in the sun, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.